Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back to part 2. Let's go and get started.
So name and form. Swami Tapasyanandaji, of revered memory, who was the vice president of our order, he writes in one place, when you have been given the mantra, you have already been given God in a seed form. The mantra, the name of God, is connected to God in a seed form. So you already have a direct connection to God. When you that's one of the importance of mantra diksha. We often do not know what it is. So the Sri Ramakrishna's story of the washerman and the diamond, it applies to us. It applies to bhakti also, not just to jnana. What is that diamond? It's that mantra which is given to us by God, and we think it's a simple mantra. I need some more special techniques of meditation. Let me see YouTube techniques of meditation. Search for. You have been given the best, the direct connection with the divine. We are not satisfied. Some more thing. Some more peculiar techniques will be added, and oh, this is sophisticated, nice, improved. Simple thing. Sri Ramakrishna, somebody asked for advice for some spiritual problem. He said, clap your hands and take the name of the Lord. And the papaki, the birds of sin who sit on the tree, if you clap your hands hard enough, the birds will fly away. So these birds of sin who sit in the mind, the tree of the mind, they'll fly away. You take the name of the Lord vigorously and clap your hands. This person was not at all satisfied. It's too simple. Thought it would mean some, tantric technique, pranayama, breathing technique, some sophisticated philosophy. All these things will be there, whole package, then I'm satisfied. Won't do anything, of course, but satisfied. This seems too simple. So name and form of God. Now, let me give you some practical point here. What is to be done in life? One of my favorite sutras in the Naradiya Bhakti Sutra, towards the end, 79th Sutra. I'll mention this and bring it to a close. 79th Sutra, Narada Bhakti Sutras. The 79th Sutra is Sarvada sarva bhavena nischintitehi bhagavan eva bhajaniya. What does it mean? At all times, in all ways, without any care at all, love and worship the Lord. Love and worship the Lord alone. I'll repeat. Sarvada, at all times. Sarva bhavena, in all ways. Nischintitei, without any care of the world. Bhagavan eva, Bhagavan the Lord, eva, alone. Bhajaniya is worthy of being worshipped. Worthy of being worshipped. Or is to be worshipped. What does that mean? It says nischintitei, without chinta. Chinta means anxiety, thought of the world. Chinta usually is thought of the world. There is an old Sanskrit saying, Chinta chita samakhyata, chinta chitatopi adhika, chita nirjivam dahati, chinta jivitam hi dahyati. Anxiety, thought of the world, care of the world, cares, and I've got so many problems, woes in the world. It is called, chitta means the funeral pyre, where after death, Hindus, the body is cremated, the fire which is lit. So that's called chitta. So it's a play on words. Chinta, anxiety. Chitta, funeral fire. So anxieties are like the funeral fire. Anxieties are worse than the funeral fire. Why? The funeral fire burns only a dead body. Anxiety burns a living body.
I thought he was going to say along the lines like, the funeral fire will only burn for so long, then it will die out, whereas anxiety just continues to live on. But I guess that's true too.
Worship the God without any anxiety. Surrender all your worries to the Lord. Waves in the ocean will never cease. I will take care of the samsara, certain problems will be solved, then I will call on God. Then I will call on God. Never happen. And all the while time is going away. Kala kridati gacchati ayu. Shankaracharya sings, time is playing, life is slipping away between. Like they say sands of time, those hourglasses were there, the sand would trickle. It's going away very fast, day after day. Dinamapi rajani sayam prata day and night, evening and morning. Sayam prata, shishira vasanto punarayata. Spring and fall have again come and gone. Kala kridati gacchati ayu. Time is playing, dancing, and life is passing by. Tadapina munchati ashavayu. Then, even then, one does not give up the hope of attaining satisfaction in this world. One more thing, I'll be happy. Let my child complete the education, then it's fine. No, let him get a job, then it's fine. No, let him get married. The child will get married, then it's fine. No, grandchildren are there. Now I have to repeat the whole cycle with grandchildren. There is no end to it. In the middle of that, right now, start. That's the beauty of bhakti. Jnana imposes very severe conditions, entry conditions. But bhakti says, start right now. Devotion. How? Sarvada, at all times. See, at all times, again and again we are told that in devotion, at all the time you have to think of God. But forget all the time. Sometime. The practice is this. Tie the mind down, desha kala vastu. Desha means in this space, this corner where I have my shrine, this meditation seat where I sit down for meditation, in this space, desha, I will not think of anything except my Lord. So space is, you limit the space to the Lord. I'm sitting down in my meditation room. I shall not think of anything outside this room. You're limiting your mind to certain space. Limit your mind to certain time. From now on till the next half an hour, I shall only repeat the mantra of Krishna, of my chosen deity, whatever mantra my Guru has given. You're limiting your mind by time, locking it down. Are you following me? Lock it down in space, lock it down in time. At all times I will think of God, in everywhere I'll think of God, very ambitious. Start here. And then vastu, object. Lock it down in object. Object means the object is the deity. My Krishna, my Rama, my Gopal, I'm thinking about that. My Rama Krishna, I'm thinking about my Lord. I'm imagining in the lotus of my heart the luminous, loving form, glowing form of my Lord. And anything else? No. So the mind is told, this object, for this period of time, in this space. Desha kala vastu. Use this to lock it down. Yes.
Before I guess they talk, that's actually, honestly, excuse me, sorry. That's actually not a too bad of an idea for a lot of things. And I guess in normal life, I keep using quotes, but in normal life, the reason why quotes is because it's just relatively speaking, obviously. A lot of people just are constantly thinking about a lot of things and never have time to sit down and relax and to just take time for themselves to think about nothing, or maybe even to think about focusing on one thing and one thing alone. There's not usually a time in the day where you are only thinking about one thing and focus on that one thing. Every day you may be thinking about one thing, then all of a sudden something else comes, like, oh, when I finish this I gotta do this, and when I'm doing that I do this, oh wait a minute, I have this between these two, and then I have to do that, then I have to go get, there's so many things going on, and just having a time frame where you're just focused on one thing and nothing anything else, that sounds like meditation, honestly, to me. It may not be the meditation as in Eastern meditation or Indian meditation or Hindi meditation, I guess. It's more like the Western meditation in a sense, which is just literally just almost the same, I guess, but just, taking time to just not be so thinking, I guess. And I guess that is something, honestly, I need to do, even though I'm fine with thinking a lot, but there should be some times where I'm not thinking all the time. And I should probably try some of that out. I don't know. I do want to try it. I just don't know if I have time for it. That's so dumb. Don't have time to relax,
How do you?
Yes, how do you choose an object to focus on if you believe in a formless God?
Oh, okay, I was going to answer that, but a formless God? Well, I mean, that's the beauty about, as far as I can tell, Hinduism, is the fact that that's weird to say formless. I'm trying to see how smart I am. But I would assume that you don't have to have a form of a God, but you just have the space and the time to think about the God. So, like he was talking about just a few minutes ago, you just devote a space to that and a time, and then you just focus on it. You don't have to have a symbol for it, because if your God is formless, therefore you don't need the form, but you do need the space and the time set aside for that.
In the formless God, there will be qualities, right?
Uh-oh.
The all-loving Lord. I assume you're talking about bhakti, because bhakti can be done with form, but it can be done without form also. You're not talking about jnana, where I'm focusing on my real nature as Brahman. That's a different thing altogether. But here, you are using a divine object. That's why you see form is useful. You may not think of God as form, but you can use an icon of God. Eastern Orthodox Christianity uses it. And of course, Hinduism, we have a wide range of symbols and forms. It's a very big support. It's a great support.
It's kind of weird, a formless God. So there is no visual representation. I wonder if that's difficult. I would assume so, because you don't know what to think of or how to focus that. It's formless. That is quite interesting, I will say. Those who I do wonder how that person worship a formless God. There's no if there was no representation of that God, no form, so therefore you cannot even think about that God.
So God has qualities, so think of that quality. The Lord is present in my heart with that all forgiving, all loving, the just, the most awesome is present here. In this way you start. When you lock it down, what will happen is, first thing you will realize, a big lesson, how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Forget all times thinking about God. 15 minutes thinking about God. At one time, Narendranath was singing in front of Sri Ramakrishna. I call on thee day and night. Why do I not always see thee? I see you once or twice, once in a while only. And Sri Ramakrishna says, tell the truth. I call on you once a day and once in the night, not day and night. When we try to do that, we will find it's difficult. Why is it difficult? Here comes the whole thing about spiritual practice. Do you remember impure mind, purity is required, scattered mind, concentration is required, ignorant mind, knowledge is required. Now, how do I know? I might say my mind has no impurity. I don't feel anything impure. I actually had one young novice who was sitting unhappily. And I said, why are you unhappy, depressed? Usually it is because of stored of impurities in our mind. Because I'm a monk now, I am not allowed to think of those things, but they don't go away. Freud was a very wise man in that way. They will remain suppressed. The result will be, they will make you feel unhappy.
Kind of like, I guess, bottling up your emotions. If you don't resolve those things, they'll just continue to pile up until you resolve those emotions.
They'll express in some kind of unhappiness, misery. Although you are not actually thinking about any worldly thing. But he said to me, no, my mind, I don't find anything impure in my mind. I'm still unhappy. We are not aware. You know what will happen? The best way to see it is, lock the mind down. This time I will only repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya or Om Namah Shivaya. And I will visualize the form of Shiva or Krishna in my heart. For this time, in this place, for this image of the deity. When we try to do that, within a few seconds you will see many other thoughts come. Why? It is my mind. I have told my mind to think about this only for a small task. Still I can't do it. Why not? I told you the story about your friend, your apartment, when you send somebody and they come and throw your friend out into the street. Yes.
What if with that same goal, a person sets that I want to repeat the name of Lord for 1 hour or 15 minutes, as you said. The person may not be able to do it with eyes shut, but let's say the person is absolutely able to do it when she or he sings out the Lord's name. Then would you consider that to be the same?
Certainly. So you start where you are comfortable, what works with you. But my point here was, that there are impurities in our mind, in all our cases. That's why we cannot focus. If you cannot focus in one way, the thing is, the subtlest things are difficult to do. People say that we have to be spiritual in your mind. External things are not important. Spirituality is in the mind. Correct. But you have to start with external things. That is something you learn. Because at the subtlest level of the mind, it's very difficult to hold on to something. When the external conditions are all right, a pure place, you're sitting down instead of moving around, then you control your breathing, focus your mind on God. When you take care from externally, you move inwards, you will see devotion works.
I guess get rid of distractions, at least externally, and I guess that's the reason, the whole point of dedicating a space for that. That way, the external distractions are not distracting you, obviously.
If japa is not, meditation is not working, do japa. Japa is not working, then chant, sing the name of the Lord. That's why external worship is useful. From here you move to sarvada, at all times. There is a saying that at all times, think about it. Things of the past, people who have gone away from our lives, what we have lost, the places, the objects, maybe wealth, maybe health, whatever it is, consider it this way. The Lord has freed me from all those things. They are gone. I have no need for me to think about it. The future has not yet come. No need for me to imagine, fantasize, or be scared about it. We are either anxious or full of expectation about the future. Forget it. You are expecting something which is not real yet. You are anxious about something which is not real yet. Don't think about it. Forget the future, forget the past, and fill your present with the Lord. I'm translating something I've heard from a sadhu in Hindi actually. जो गया उसको जाने दो, ईश्वर आपको मुक्त कर दिए, अच्छा ही हुआ. God has liberated you from what was in the past. Very good. What has not yet come, don't worry about it. That's a dream. That's imagination, fantasy. अपने वर्तमान को प्रभु से भर दो. Fill up the fill up this present with the Lord. That is sarvada. Sarva, yes. Microphone is here. Yes.
Could you please go back to the friend who you wanted to invite into the mind? And there was someone else there, and they just threw this friend of yours out. Is there a practice? Is there an advice on how to deal with this situation?
Yes, this is the way. Actually, the story was to show that we are often not aware of the condition of our mind, the presence of impurities in the mind. As that young novice said, no, my mind is pure. No. That's an unwise thing to say. You try it yourself. When you try it, it will be like that. That is the example given by Swami Nishrayashananda. You have an apartment and you send your friend, it's my apartment, my friend can stay there. Here is a note to the caretaker. But your friend gets tossed out onto the street. Similarly, it's my mind. I'm putting the mantra in there and the mantra gets tossed out. Why? Because the mind has been taken over by all the rubbish we have invited into the mind. So then how do you deal with it? All these practices are for that. If it's not working, the mantra is not working. All right, don't struggle at that level. Come out to a more external level. Do it physically. Offer a flower, chant. That's why this physical worship, puja, you have it in Hinduism, but you have it in something like Tibetan Buddhism, where there's no God at all. And yet there is so much, it's full of ritualism, from morning till night, going on, ritual. And big horns are being blown and chanting is going on. Why? These are all supports. If you try to deal with it at that level, it's that little mantra and these tough guys waiting to throw the... But now you need some tough guys on your side, which is bring the energy, the physical energy, the vital energy into play. So do something with your hand. Arrange a dish of flowers, a sandal paste, a food offering. Have mantras which you can actually speak out. Have a shrine, a deity which is cleaned and kept up properly. What are you doing? You're engaging your body and your prana and all of that. When you study, when we taught kids how to study, boring, difficult. Why boring and difficult? You know why it's boring and difficult? The psychology has to be understood. We have a certain bandwidth of attention. And the more you can focus of that bandwidth into your object of concentration, more concentrated you will feel. But if you take only a little bit of that, I'm reading the book, so it takes only a little bit of my cognitive capacity. The rest is free. Because it is free, and I'm not really interested in this book, my school assignment, homework, or whatever it is, my mind is free. Now it's free to roam around.
I get what it's saying there. I remember back when I was going to school, you know, you're sitting there doing, it's like, I don't want to do this. I want to play video games. I want... your mind is thinking fun, and you're like, I don't want to do work.
It'll think of many other things. That's why when the mind thinks of many other things, all of which are more attractive than my homework, then I feel this homework is so difficult, boring, unpleasant. What is the way to engage? We would teach the kids active reading. Don't just look at the page and flip the page. You would often complain, we studied half an hour, but what I was reading, I don't even know what I was reading. Why? Page is open, mind is elsewhere. Now, how do you get the mind there? Active reading. So we would say, underline, make annotations, write down notes, ask questions, stop for a while and review. Ask the mind, what have you absorbed? So when you physically engage the hands and the eyes and the writing, all of that, the modern technology sometimes can be a problem. How education has changed, now I'm realizing. Actually, many years earlier, I went to learn something, Nyaya philosophy in India. And that was after a long gap. I was in college and then I joined, all this digital revolution came, and I saw how education has changed because of technology. So the scholar would painstakingly write a Sanskrit verse in the chalk on the board. And the younger students there, who are philosophy students, even they were neuroscience students and all.
Wait, I'm gonna guess here. They use they use Google to write it down for them.
They would whip out their mobile phones and take a picture.
Oh.
To the fury of the Pandit, who would say, if they would at least bother to write it down with their own hands, it at least goes through the mind and the nervous system in the hand, and it's there in the picture. Mobile may be enlightened, but you will never see it again. So active reading.
That is interesting, because there's I believe I've heard there's a study saying that if you write it down, you tend to remember a lot more. And another thing that me and my friend would say is, one of my coworkers' friend would say that smartphone is making us dumb. Because again, you used to remember people's phone numbers, you can remember off the top of your head. Now you don't have to remember them. Now if there's something that you want, you don't have to write it down. You don't even have to remember it. You can just take a picture, and then later on you can just look at it. You don't have to remember anything. This technology is making us dumber.
What the puja does, what the chanting does, it engages other faculties. And so attention is more and more cognitive bandwidth, your psychic energy is focused into the object. Then it becomes easier. Instead of struggling at a very subtle level, you involve the more powerful, more physical aspects of our nature. Yeah. Yes. He's coming.
Swamiji, sometimes when one is deep in meditation and meditating on your Ishta, the figure of your Ishta, on your Ishta I should say, not the figure, as one goes deeper and deeper, there are times when you no longer see the face of your Ishta, the body, the form of your Ishta. And there is a kind of blankness. What should one do at that stage?
If you become aware of it, then revisualize the deity. I'm just in an absolute blankness. The blankness is often very peaceful and restful. But again, after some time, revisualize. Otherwise, what will happen is that blankness will go away after some time and something else will enter in its place. So bring your mind back to the practice again.
I would have figured that is what that is your true self. That blankness. At least, again, this is something that is I have to keep straight with Swami Sarvapriyananda. He knows a lot. He teaches a lot of different practices, and I have to make sure I categorize them correctly. Otherwise, I'm going to get mixtures of different practices mixed up. So again, the blankness, generally speaking, is your true self, because that is who you are. There's the blankness. There's no effect. It's not affected by anything external, your emotions, what your thoughts are, nothing. It is your true self, your Brahman, your Atman. But and whenever he said, "Oh, just bring it back to God," I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, I figured that's where you want to be, the blankness. And then, should your mind deviate from the blankness, then refocus to the God.
Sarva bhavena, in all ways. So sarvada at all times, sarva bhavena, in all ways. In all ways means mana brahma iti upasita. Upanishad says the mind itself is Brahman. Think about it, a very Advaitic idea. In Advaita Vedanta, what we do is, beyond the thoughts, the consciousness which illumines the thoughts, I am the witness of my thoughts. We did that Drigdrishya Viveka. Beyond the mental sheath, the sheath of the intellect, beyond the causal sheath, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. But then the opposite is also true. Every thought that we have, every feeling that we have, what is it made of? What is its reality? If non-duality is correct, Advaita is correct, then that thought also must be Brahman. What is the snake actually? The rope. What is each ornament made of? Golden ornament. Gold. Where will you find except in the water, except in the waves? Where will you find Brahman except in the thoughts? If you have this idea, my Lord alone is dancing in all these forms. What are the forms? These thoughts. In puja, it is a mantra is there. In meditation, Nityam Indriya Karmani, the activities of the senses are the dance presented before the deity. The deity is sitting in your heart and shining, and the senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, these are the entertainment presented to the deity. See how you connect. Sarva bhavena. And outside, in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Vibhuti Yoga, where Krishna says, Arjuna asks, how am I to imagine you when I interact with the world? So, in the Vedas you get wonderful descriptions. The sun and the moon are his eyes, the fire is his mouth, and so on. Whatever natural phenomena you see in the world is connected back to the divine person. It's not just imagination, because if Brahman is the only reality, then all these things which are appearing are appearances of Brahman. So connect the sky to Brahman, the sun, the light to Brahman, fire to Brahman, the air to Brahman, the water to Brahman, the earth to Brahman. All this is Brahman. Somebody asked a question. These monks are very humorous in the Himalayas. Somebody asked a question. This is very bad. I'm walking on the earth. How can I think the earth? I'm walking on God? It's very bad. I can't think like that. He says, no, ye bhi Bhagavan ki seva hai. This is also the service of the Lord by walking on the earth, which is God. How? Then he told a story. And he said, when we were little kids, we had an uncle who was a huge man. And it was very relaxing for him if we little kids, nephews and nieces would run around on his back. So it was like a massage for him. He would lie down like this and we kids would jump on his back and walk. This was our service to him. Now your Lord, the uncle, is now become this earth. And the Lord is very happy if his children walk around on his back. Now you see, what a cute way of putting this. Yes.
I was gonna make the I guess a comment on the sheer fact that, well, technically you are Brahmin as well, so you're walking on yourself in a sense.
Yes.
I just I heard the Bhakti yoga, everything you said,
Keep the mic
yet
near your feet.
I don't. Yet I'm having trouble reconciling when I look outside or my own experiences growing up, like seeing that very bhakti-oriented people did not have that experience that you're sharing, right? Or that gyan did not sort of come through, right? And there were actions that were happening which were like not aligned with what we are talking about. And so that just brings me to challenge the path of bhakti and sort of feel that bhakti alone can solve it for me, and I'm talking for myself here, and without gyan and without karam yoga, as Swami Vivekananda was saying, it just doesn't really come to me.
Yes,
and you look around and you see the examples, right?
Yes, but two things are there. One is we must not be judgmental. Everybody is progressing. It's so difficult to change my own life. How can I talk about others being perfect?
I was a little confused in what she's talking about. I'm guessing she's talking about how other people practice their faith or their devotion to their faith, and how it's so impure, or how it's not followed genuinely. And it's like, well, yeah, you can't blame devotion or bhakti because of that. Everyone is their own person. Everyone progresses differently, which I think that's what he's trying to say there. And also, I think she's talking about jnana and karma yoga, which doesn't work for her. Which again, I do believe he said earlier that you can follow one path and it'll be okay. The path that I hope to follow would be karma and jnana, I believe, the path of action and the path of knowledge. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to freaking master these things, but I just learn as much as I can, and then, wherever I'm at, I'm at. I'm not going to sit there and seek perfection. I'm just going to live my life, do the best I can, and that's about it. That's all I can really do. And honestly, that's what I hope most people expect from people when they follow these paths or their way of life. Just not, if you're being pressured into these things, then you're not doing it right. Opinion. Because, there is that in a lot of the Western religion, is that you have to do certain things or you have to follow this. But I think they are becoming a bit more lenient, which is a good thing, because then a lot more people are, at least in the churches, are being more accepting of people, which then can grow their numbers. Because if you're really harsh, you're very strict, no one wants to live in that kind of or go in that kind of environment.
Is perfection possible? Is at least a high level of genuine devotion possible? Certainly. The lives of saints in all religions are proof of that. And I have been in a monastic tradition for a long time. Have I seen genuine bhaktas, devotees? Yes. Many of them. And just their presence will uplift your heart. You will feel it. That there's something wonderful about them. I remember in the presence of a very great Swami, I felt something strange, jealousy. Jealousy means a kind of holy envy. I wish I had that. You have something within you. I wish I had that. That's a good envy. It is possible that such people are there. So there's no doubt that bhakti works. But the second part of your question is important. By itself or not. All of these paths by themselves can lead to enlightenment. Swami Vivekananda clearly says. But it's much better, much more effective, much safer to practice all of them together. Swami Vivekananda said, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. Each word is valuable. Manifest this divinity, not know this divinity, not understand this divinity. Manifest. Manifest means it must become, first of all, real to me, one. Second, it should be somehow expressed in my thinking, speaking and behaving. That rota hua jnani problem should not be there. My life, one criteria I apply, from outside very difficult to know if a person is really spiritual or how advanced he or she is. One criteria I apply quite successfully is, has that person solved his or her own problem? Is that person stable, fulfilled over a long period of time? Is there deep joy? Do you feel that, this person? All right. But how do you do it? Swami Vivekananda, that symbol of the Ramakrishna order, the theme of our retreat, he says, do it by love, do it by work. Love means bhakti yoga. Work does not mean any work, karma yoga. Do it by psychic control. This is the exact word he's used. That means Raja Yoga. Do it by philosophy. So the philosophy professors will be very happy in Harvard. So do it by philosophy. Then he says, by one or more or all of these. By one, which means he's acknowledging each one can take you to that realization. He's not denying it. Or more, it means you can combine. And in spiritual life, you'll see most sadhakas, they combine. Or all of these. And be free. Books, temples, doctrines, churches are secondary details. So this spiritual freedom from all suffering and limitation through these paths, that is the goal. Now, what is Swami Vivekananda's preference? He says harmony of the four yogas. More than once he has said, all four must be there in our lives. All four together is actually easier than one.
What?
We have all these powers. We have the affective domain, emotions. We have the cognitive domain, understanding. We have the cognitive domain, willpower. Power to do, power to understand, power to feel. And of course, all of these are combined with the power to concentrate. This is Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. All of these should be combined. There is a nice essay by Swami Premeshananda, Yoga Vigna. He was a great, in his lifetime itself, he was considered a Jnani, an enlightened person. Yoga Vigna. It has been translated recently. It is something written to a monk, young monk, warning him about the problems in each path. The problem is, if you read that, you will say, then I won't practice anything. I'm safe from all the problems. The problem with Bhakti Yoga is, he says, it leads to emotionalism, sentimentalism. At every other thing, tears come to the eyes and singing and dancing, very fine. What about life? Same. It leads to involvement in too much, maybe ritualism, festivities. You'll see a lot of food and songs and festivity. Not our ashram, not Vedanta Society. If you compare with other Vedanta societies, they all accuse us of being very dry and very minimalistic. Then that is one aspect. Then you have Karma Yoga, which is very good, but its danger is extroverted. All the time busyness. The moment you start something, you have a school, a college, or just your family and your career, that also is a field for Karma Yoga. Remember, when Sri Krishna taught Karma Yoga to Arjuna, he did not tell Arjuna that now you have to practice Karma Yoga, please go start a school and a hospital. He said, do your duty, transform your duty right now into Karma Yoga. So your family, your job, your life, it can be transformed into Karma Yoga. Everything that we do, whatever we do can be connected to God. But the problem is, it leads to an external busyness. And you feel good. I'm doing good work after all. But that's also not spirituality. And Swami Premeshananda has very harsh words. Remember, he was writing to a monk. And we are engaged in so many social service activities. So he writes some harsh words. He says, that was the time of British rule there in India. So the first lady was the wife of the Governor General. Lat Sahib er Mem, he used to, the Mem Sahib is the, so in the old language they used to say. Now the first lady, the lady so and so, the wife of the Governor General of India, she was the last one. This is way before that, long before Mountbatten. So there were so many Governor Generals, and then later they were called Viceroys. So this lady, Remember, she's the head of a colonial power in India. So prestige is very important. But she wants to know, what are these people eating? Natives, they're eating muri. She wants to eat muri. Muri, muri. Puffed rice. Now all the officials are worried. What will happen to British prestige if the First Lady eats muri? The natives will laugh. Now how do you solve this problem? But she is interested. She wants to know what it's like. Why are they all eating muri? So they solved the problem. What did they do? They got, at that time, it's what you call cookies here. They're called biscuits in India. So biscuits were imported from England. They came in tins. So then tin was emptied out of English biscuits and filled with muri and given to the... So that people will think that she is doing something proper, eating biscuits from the home country. But she's actually eating the food of the common natives. This is the story. And he said... he writes, Sadhu Sabdhan, monks beware. In the name of serving the poor, you collect money. And it ends up as houses for the monks to stay in, and all the facilities. You are also using it, and you say it's and you are using it for the benefit of the poor. But you are getting the benefit of it also. Be careful. So it is glamorized in the name of service of the poor. But what is it really? You have to be very careful, honest to yourself. There's no other way unless one is honest. So there's a great story of Chanakya, who's writing a letter with an oil lamp, and somebody asks him for some advice, personal advice. He douses that oil lamp, strikes another lamp, and then gives advice. What's going on? That lamp is bought with the oil is bought with the money of the king. So that's official work.
Oh.
Douse it. This is my personal thing. But honesty, you see. There's integrity. I told you the story of Madhavanandaji yesterday, how he was very strict of not taking anything personally. So Karma Yoga has that problem. Not just, I was saying monks. I told you that so many big NGOs, people in non-profits, people who are very well known for activism. After some time, what does the service become like? The founder of the non-profit is running around from international conference to international conference and gathering awards and giving talks. What about actually working in the field with the refugees and the homeless and the poor? No, that's no longer interesting.
Someone made a comment about NGOs in one of my videos that I reacted to. I can't remember what video that was. I'm sure it was dealing with certain activisms as well. And I guess I never heard it called NGOs, I don't think of non-government NGOs, non-government organizations. I guess just never. Maybe it's said in the U.S. I don't know. But it is kind of strange. I hear a YouTuber say that the point of an organization is to put themselves out of business. The reason why, and when I thought, like, why is that? And this is fairly recent, no further back than 2016. 2016 to 2020 is when this is when it was presented to me. I'm like, I was like, that doesn't make sense. I thought about it for a little bit. It's like, I get it. Because the whole point of creating the organization is to end what it is created for, what the organization was created for. And when it ends that ends the organization as well. But the problem that this YouTuber said is the fact that it's become these organizations are becoming more like businesses, where they're continuing to perpetuate the problem so that they can remain in business and collect funds. So they're not trying to put themselves out of business. They're trying to create the business so that they can stay in business. It's terrible, but it's true. There are probably a lot more organizations like that. I think more of them are trying to stay in business than not, because it's very profitable to people's sorrow or suffering is very profitable, which is sad.
What has happened? My selfishness has entered into it. So that is the one danger of Karma Yoga. The danger of Raja Yoga, meditation, is selfishness. My peace of mind. I have seen this. It happens to monks. My peace of mind, my routine, My meditation time. So peaceful and calm, but disturb his routine, he'll go wild. I mean, as wild a monk I can get, but no. That's also not good. I've seen the really good meditators. They don't have this problem. Meditation time. I gave one example yesterday. His duty was changed. He found peace in that also. I've seen among young brahmacharis, very good meditators, and yet the roommate is sick. He gives up his meditation time and goes and nurses his sick brother. That shows real spirituality. Then Jnana Yoga. The problem is it degenerates very fast into intellectualism. I've read all the books, I know all the arguments, but that's not spiritual. So these are the demerits, the problems of each path. And Swami Vivekananda said, practice all of them so that they may balance, his words, balance, equipoise and counteract each other. You are working for the world. Everybody must work. There's no question, I will meditate now. I like to meditate. No, this is the time for work. Go and work. I am working. No, this is the time for meditation. Go and meditate. I'm not interested in reading books. No. Shastra is the basis of our... You must study. Always studying books. Devotion. Go to the temple and pray. All of them, it's together, it develops a good spiritual life. It's a good question, yes. Mike. Swami Vivekananda said Raja Yoga is the best. Yes. And he also said Bhakti Yoga is the best. Then he said Karma Yoga is the best. And he said Jnana Yoga is the direct and must path. Now somebody was confused. Swamiji, whatever you say, you speak contradictory things. Whatever you are telling, you are saying that is the best. And Swamiji laughed and said, you take whatever appeals to you. The good thing is to practice all four together. And somebody asked, how do we practice all four together? What is the model? And Swami Vivekananda said, how do you understand the harmony of yogas? He said, live with somebody who practices it.
I will say, like I said, I do karma and jnana, but it doesn't mean I don't follow the rest. It's just that I guess those are my focus, and the others will just happen to come along if it happens to go that way. I mean, I don't plan to be an intellectual smart A, you know. It's like, oh, you barely know this thing, you know, something like that. And then the going to just conferences and stuff, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, depends on what they're going to conferences for, because obviously it sucks that this is the kind of thing that they kind of have to do, but it may be a way that they continue to fund the organization to provide the services that are needed. You know, it's like, you know, you need someone out there getting the funding for the services that's being provided, because obviously things cost money. And then you just have someone doing the work on the ground. Someone's better at talking, and someone's better at working, you know, leading. And the person that's better at talking would be going out to the conferences, and the person that's better at leading would be at the ground level, doing the actions and leading the people. My assumption.
What's Krishna's take on it?
Krishna's take is similar.
Yeah, I thought
Note
it was
that he
karma
teaches bhakti and karma and meditation and jnana. First thing he teaches is jnana, but he teaches all of them. Remember one thing, however, our tendencies are different. You will find when you try to practice all four, one will appeal to you more. Maybe you like meditation. What will appeal to you? It will feel alive, real. It pulls you. Others will feel a little dry and difficult. Remember, at that time you must hold on to all. It is not a fault of those paths. It's just my mental makeup. Other people have become very spiritual through those paths. So paths are perfect. It's just me. So I will, in fact, one way of developing and progressing faster is when you concentrate on certain areas of your weakness. So all four should be practiced, but it is sure, if you find one is dominating, don't be worried. It is correct. One will dominate. One will dominate. You may basically be a bhakta, and on the basis of that you do all others. I'm reading the Gita, not as a jnani. It is the words of my beloved Krishna. That's why I'm reading. I am working and feeding the poor because I see my Krishna in them. When I meditate, I visualize Krishna. And of course, bhakti is there, devotion throughout. This is all for yogas on the basis of bhakti.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of what I was saying a little bit. I'm glad he said that though, to confirm how I kind of do things, and I hope most people do, and I'm pretty sure they do. I don't think you're ever really focused on one.
Object of parampara. All of us were born into a certain way of life, which, based on history, tradition, home traditions, maybe a family priest inculcated in us a combination of mantra, ritual, puja. There was a certain way of life. Now we are living in a world where, especially us NRIs, generally, but even in India, we have become seekers. And so our consciousness has expanded greatly. We become aware of the larger technologies of the inner journey that are available. How do we I don't know if the word is reconcile, how do we take our parampara but also absorb this knowledge and create a certain continuity as opposed to a discontinuity?
Continuity is important. And there are many of paramparas means lineages. And there are many, many lineages in the Indian tradition, in Hindu tradition, in Buddhist tradition, there are many lineages. And many people are associated with either a family lineage or at least a cultural lineage. And it's good. If you have that connection, you're good. Follow that. But also be open, as you said. You can always enrich your own understanding, your own tradition with learning from other traditions. And if one does not have access to such a lineage, or if you have an access and yet you are not particularly interested, sometimes lineages have become, orthodox, old, not available, not particularly inspiring, maybe just a mass of rituals, no particularly great teacher is available there. Then one may take up another lineage. But be careful that it is a lineage. See, this is a danger in modern times, that people who are not set in some kind of tradition, they say, where did you get all this? All is my invention. That is not a good sign. I give an example. In Manhattan, you want to buy a computer and you go, the Apple shop there is called Big Apple, naturally, Manhattan. So you go to buy, and outside the shop, this rather shifty looking guy is standing there and says, come. What happened? I will give you a computer. I have made it. Better than those fellows. Oh, really? Where did you make it? In my garage. It is better than that. And cheaper also. Now the problem is, how do you know? It may be, but it may not be. Most likely it may not be. Second, there is no backup. Apple at least has Apple Care, they call it Apple Care. But where is this garage care? No. And what is the proof? Apple has so many satisfied customers. What is the proof that this person has some satisfied customers?
It's like
you don't
branding.
know. It's too much of a risk for a big investment. And the greatest of investments is spiritual life. So better to go for a lineage where you know it is existing for a long time. There are texts which you can independently verify what this fellow is saying. Where is he saying it from? Give me one example of what you are saying. There are other sadhakas who for centuries have practiced these things and have experienced some of it. So then there is an established lineage. I am not entirely dependent on my guru then. There are other gurus before him and there will be others after him. So that's why in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda lineage we find it's like a place where all other streams, whether it's Vedanta or Bhakti or Tantra, or it opens up to Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and all forms of religion, and all pitched at the highest level and open also. You are not told that you have to restrict. You have come to our lineage, you have to restrict yourself to this. You cannot read that book. No. So good and holy book, you can read it. So some lineage is necessary. There also, do not be too picky. I'm looking for my guru. Very good. I met in Himalayas, especially Westerners. Backpack. Come to India. Why? I'm looking for my guru. Good. But 20 years later, if I catch you roaming around the Himalayas, I'm still looking for my guru, there's something wrong. You know what is wrong? Somewhere very deep inside, I am looking for the enlightened master. Why? Others are not good enough for me. Who am I that I deserve? Somebody, the story of Narendranath and Sri Ramakrishna. Have you seen God? And Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, I have, as I see you more clearly. So one devotee went to a senior Swami and said, sir, have you seen God? His answer was, I am not Sri Ramakrishna and you are not Vivekananda. There is a subtle point here. What is the point, That I trust my thinking above others. It's the individualistic world. But that also shows a deep attachment to body and mind. What makes the product of this mind better than the product of a million other minds? Why must I listen to this mind alone and not to those minds? Of course, I will keep my own thinking. But at the same time, I must listen to others. Sri Ramakrishna says, those who have eagerness for spiritual life, they will take whatever is available and start. The one who is thirsty, the water in the puddle, he will be so desperate, he will remove the scum on the top and drink that water also. It may not be healthy. But the one who is not thirsty, sparkling water, otherwise. Alpine water.
I was going to say this a little bit earlier, which is the fact that something I've said before is the fact that, obviously keep your biases and everything with you and use that to judge something fairly and truthfully, but to always keep your mind open. Listen to people, consider what they say, and then judge for yourself whether it is something that you believe, that you wish to follow or pursue, or that you believe it to be, trash or whatever, But to give it a fair shot, though. You don't just, because it's like something that you don't believe in, or something that goes against you, consider it, make sure that it is that you genuinely give it a fair shot.
So, lineage, important, but there also, don't delay, start. Last question, one more. Yes.
We started with good jealousy, but you did not finish. How to overcome that?
Not overcome it, that's good. Increase it. I want that. Bad jealousy is, that person is a millionaire, I want to be that. That's bad. Initially, depends on a person's progress in spiritual life. Initially, no interest in spiritual life, wants to be very successful in the world. You know what I will say? Yes, that's what you should do. That person must experience. If you disturb that ambition by saying that is Maya, that is nothing, here is God, and you will realize God, and then you will get overcome suffering, what will happen is the desire is not fulfilled. There is no conviction on this path, and you are harming that person's spiritual progress. Go ahead. For a young person, for a person interested, moving hard towards this world, say go ahead, but the only thing you can do is add a little bit of wisdom there. Watch. Go ahead with intelligence. Try it out. Is it making me happy? Is it making me stronger? Is it fulfilling its promise? I'll leave with this last thing. This all the time think about God. Sarvada, very interesting thing is there. Ask yourself this question. The thought of the mantra and my Ishta Devata, which other thought is more valuable than that? Mind has many thoughts. Which other thought is more valuable than the thought of God? And your mind will tell you actually nothing, almost nothing. There may be some urgent task to accomplish now, you may have to think about it. Other than that, 99% of the thoughts in our mind are worthless. Worthless. So, there are robbers, this is the example given. There are robbers who do this. They will throw some interesting thing like maybe $1 or something in front, and if somebody gets attracted to that, goes to pick it up, they will use that opportunity to pickpocket. Your attention is diverted there. Similarly, samsara, what it does to us is, it makes us interested in half a dozen things, and then pickpocket. What is pickpocket? The thought of God, mantra is gone. Samsara takes it away and engages you in those things. People protect their grains in the granary. They will throw a little bit of sugar in front, so the mice will run around. Whole bagfuls of nutritious grain is there. They will ignore it throughout the night. They will run after those little bits of sugar. Why? They are attracted there and they miss it. Similarly, God is there. We have got the mantra. But all those other thoughts, temptation and terror, fear, anxiety, temptation, that's what pulls us into the world. Carefully pull your mind away from that and apply it to the mantra, apply it to the thought of God. So with this beautiful idea, I pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda, may they bless all of us with devotion, with knowledge, with dispassion for worldliness. May we all grow in spiritual life. May our lives be blessed, and may the lives of those around us be blessed. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. It has become a fashion among cool people to say, oh, we don't believe in all that God thing. Imagine, divinity school, Harvard Divinity School. I'm looking at the profile of the students they now described at 23 years old. What do they know about God? Anyway, I am a mystic. I'm interested in spirituality. An atheist. It's that atheist business is not all that it is promoted to be. We believe in so many things. Try believing in God. You will see life will be blessed.
Well, I am atheistic, for sure. But I don't know, the counter argument. I wonder. Well, it doesn't quite work with Hinduism, because all God is valid. Whereas when you look at Christianity, Islam, whatever other religions there are out there, the Egyptian religion, Roman religion, Greek religion, which are similar, and any other small religions, all of them believe in their own deity, but they don't believe in each other's deity, unlike Hinduism, which say all deities are valid. So it's hard to argue that point. But anyways, Bhakti, the path of devotion. I wanted to... how I see this, in my opinion, even though it's over an hour long now, is I do believe in having devotion, obviously, not necessarily towards a god, but how I understand, just say Brahman, you are God. So a devotion to yourself I do believe in. It's not to say be selfish, although who said it was to be selfish? I think Sadhguru did say that too, and Osho. But to be selfish isn't a bad thing necessarily. It's just how you present yourself as well. It is a lot to do with presentation. If you are selfish, and in the sense that you don't become part of the problem, then I think that's a good thing. You are helping out society in a sense by taking care of yourself and not becoming part of the problem. If everyone could do that, there would be no problem at that point. But obviously, not everyone can do that, and just because you're selfish doesn't mean you are arrogant, or I don't know how to say the bad portion of selfishness. I don't know what that is, but you can still help people out. But just ensure that you are in good wealth and health, so that you can help people out and not become part of the problem. People who are completely selfish, selfless, could end up becoming part of the problem, because maybe they're giving too many away and they're not now unable to support themselves, and then they become part of the problem, which can be a bigger problem. And again, let me go back to the Bhakti Yoga. It's the fact that devote yourself to the things that you want to do. I don't think this is truly Bhakti Yoga, because you're supposed to be devoting it to God, but in my understanding of Hinduism and the way I choose to believe, or my way of life, is that, okay, I mean, we are all Brahman, which I'm not saying that we're all God, but we're all made out of this thing called Brahman. Everything in the universe is. There's nothing out of that. If it exists, it is that. And to devote yourself to bettering your health, bettering your career, a devotion to yourself to better yourself, to do good. I agree with that. Now, I don't know if that's true Bhakti Yoga, but I do believe in devotion to yourself and devotion to other people as well. It's probably honestly different from Bhakti Yoga, but other than the devotion portion. And I said earlier that I do follow. Well, I don't say follow, but my path is action-based and knowledge-based, to learn and understand things and to take responsibility for things. Responsibility is action, in my opinion, and understanding is knowledge, jnana and karma. Meditation, not so much, but it is something, again, that I do believe that is needed. It's every once in a while you need to just kind of turn yourself off, and just to, it might be a different meditative yoga. What was that? Oh man, can't remember what it's called, but the meditation of yoga. It may not be true yoga, but it's more of you just meditating to clear your mind. Again, maybe not completely at all these paths, but it is something that I do that's kind of similar to the path, but maybe not exactly. Which is, again, that's why I consider it my way of life. It's how I understood the world, how I understand things that work in my way, in my life, and how I guess I choose to understand these different paths to create my own path. And again, this is something that I guess Hinduism accepts. Everyone has their own path. Everyone takes a different path, so long as that path is towards, I guess, the realization, whether that be a god, Brahman, Atman, which are all technically the same thing. Anyways, that's my reaction to Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.